but I'm back. Victoria can give us the grace and we start.
The grace for what we are about to receive, may the good Lord make us truly thankful and ever mindful of the needs of others, especially those in the most need. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Victoria. Linda, the latest.
The latest, I give a toast to the highest office of the country.
His President of Uganda. His Excellency, the President of Uganda. We'll have the four-way test from Simon. Simon, are you on the call?
Yes. Are you getting me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes. Yes.
Simon, you can unmute your audio and give us the four-way test.
I suspect he's having network challenges.
Eddie, can you help us with it? I think he's back now.
Okay.
Simon, are you on the call?
Yes, I'm on. The four-way test. The four-way test. For the things we say or do, first, is it the truth? Second, is it fair to all concerned? Third, will it build goodwill and better friendships? Fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Thank you, Simon.
Okay.
We'll have the goals of Rotaract from
Okay. The goals of Rotaract. First, to develop professional and leadership skills. Second, to emphasize ethical standard and the dignity of all useful occupations. Third, to provide opportunities for young people to address the needs and concerns of the community and the world in cooperation with sponsoring Rotary clubs. Fifth, to motivate young people for eventual membership into Rotary. Thank you.
Thank you, Joanna. We'll have introductions. Do we have any visiting Rotarians in the house? You can introduce yourself.
Thanks, President. And I'm very happy to be fellowshipping with you. I'm Samuel Majwega Msoke, Changemaker President, RC Bunga. I'm happy to be here.
You're welcome, Changemaker President Samuel Majwega and our mentor. You're welcome for today's fellowship.
Thanks very much.
Any more introductions? Any visiting Rotarians in the house? I think the rest can register in the chat room. Do you have any visiting Rotaractors in the house? The floor is open for you. You can just unmute and introduce yourself.
Yes, President, thank you. My name is Charles Anwar Weekly from Rotaract Club of Kabalagala, the Pancake, here to fellowship with you.
You're welcome, Charles.
Yes, hello, good evening, members. My name is Ochen Jackson.
Good evening.
Good evening, everyone.
PRO,
Good
I'm a member
evening.
of Rotary, but I'm PRO of Kampala one day here. I've joined this meeting specifically for the PRO branding and all that. That is why
You're welcome. CPM.
Good evening. Hello.
Good evening to you.
I'm Changemaker President Balk Jokers from the Rotaract Club of Renzori School of Nursing and Midwifery. I'm also here to fellowship with you. Thank you.
You're welcome. CPM Baluku. Do you have any more introductions? Any visiting Rotaractors in the house?
Yes, President. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Calvin.
Okay, my name is Dixon Calvin. I'm the Changemaker President, Rotaract Club of King Caesar University. Yeah, I'm here to enjoy the fellowship. Thank you so much, President.
You're welcome, Calvin. I think the rest can register in the chat room. Do we have any guests in the house? Okay, I think we don't have guests today. Do you have any apologies and makeups? Yes, Erina, you have something to say. You can speak. You can unmute and speak.
Good evening. This happening week, I managed to visit some Rotaract clubs, Rotaract Club of Molago, Nursing and Midwifery, and we had a Chibozi there. I also managed to visit the Rotaract Club of Mukono, where we had a professional growth talk. And I also managed to visit the Rotaract Club of Chivoga.
Thank you, Erina, for representing us. Keep up the spirit. Do you have any more apologies and makeups? Members, any apologies and makeups? We'll then go to Rotary information. I think I'll be the first to give out information for today. Our PE, our Changemaker President, Jane Bukenya, her wedding is due this Saturday. You're all invited in spirit. As we all know, it's a scientific wedding, but you can always keep her in your prayers and also support her financially. Then also Rotaract Club of Bunga will be chartered on the August of 20th this year, and you're all invited. That's the information I have for members. We can have some more information coming in from other members.
Yes, Simon.
Yes, sitting president, thank you so much for this opportunity. Once again, I greet you all. Thanks for coming for this fellowship. Our dear change maker president, RSC Bunga. Ladies and gentlemen, President, maybe I'd love you throw some light. Whether online or we may have a little bit of abambana verayo. I apologize first of all, but then where I was, the network was so poor, I could not be in a fellowship. Maybe if you don't mind, but then Sabanzi did them. Tunasolo kubayo na wanafe abatini abanaso kuberayo for the chattering. Abanachiki, the rest of us, over all of us are going to be virtual. Thank you.
Thank you, Simon. The chatter night, we hope that it will be a two-way with a few people at the venue, and then the rest will be on call. Because we all know we are still under COVID times and we can't risk anyone's health, but all communication will be out accordingly. The president will be making a few changes tomorrow, as we all know. So depending on how the days go by, we'll be communicating. But for now, we hope that it can be done a two ways. A few people at the venue and the rest will be on Zoom. Yes, Rotarian Emma.
Thank you, President. President, my apologies for joining in late. President, I had two questions, not two questions, but one question and one remark. But one of the question has been answered by you regarding the wedding. Whether it will be, we shall have a Zoom link for people who would not attend physically. But President, I would like to remind this club that the Rotary Club of Bunga, it's on Tuesday. They have their fellowships every Tuesday, meeting at 7 to 8 p.m. President. President, I would like to call upon the members to attend the Mother Club fellowships. I always see only a few people online when we're having our fellowships. And President, remember that the Mother Club is part and parcel of the organization of the charter of this Rotaract Club. So it is important that your members also show their commitment towards learning and getting the experience from the Mother Club. We don't want to reach that stage whereby the Mother Club are not attending Rotaract fellowships. We want to create that partnership between the two clubs. So President, please let the members try to attend Mother Club fellowship. Thank you.
Thank you, Emma, for that information.
Maybe, President, I can add my voice to club admins about Rotary Club of Bunga and the Rotaract Club of Bunga. They are basically one and the same. Given that this Rotary year, a lot of emphasis is placed on Rotaract and the Rotary clubs working together. I think we need to find a way of coming together because we need to do a couple of projects. In our goals, we have like 7 Rotary projects, which basically we are planning to do with the Rotaract Club of Bunga. So there will be meetings, but the starting point is for the Rotarians to attend the Rotaract Club fellowships and the other way around. That is one. Secondly, as the Rotary information, there is the 97th District Conference at Arusha, 12th to 14th May. Early bird is still going for $100 for tractors. If you started paying now small, you'll be able to attend. It's a nice, wonderful experience to have. Thanks, President.
Thank you, CPM. Rotaract Charles, I see your hand is up.
Yes, President, I wanted also to pass on this information. The Rotaract members of District D9214, that this Sunday at 3 to 4 p.m. we have a district training on evaluation and monitoring of projects.
Thank you, Charles. Though the network was a bit breaking, but I request that you type in more information in the chat. Today's fellowship is organized by Papa Libade Group, and we are privileged to host all of you here. I'll request Eddie to introduce our guest speaker of the day.
I'm having a Zoom meeting.
Eddie, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, President. First of all, welcome for our fellowship, and thank you for attending today, big numbers. I would like to introduce our guest speaker today, who is Miss Claire Mohindo, a member of Rotaract Club South. We are honored to have you. So I'll briefly give a background of her expertise. Miss Claire is the online content producer at African Center for Media Excellence. She previously worked as a social media specialist. At Monitor Publications Limited, where she was responsible for creating content for the newspaper's digital platforms. She has written for the New Vision and has worked as a data assistant on ACME's research and media coverage of public affairs. She has worked on several research projects that have led to the development of communication strategies for some government ministries and parastatals, such as Uganda Investment Authority and Ministry of Water. She's a social media enthusiast and blogger. She graduated from Makerere University with a bachelor's degree in journalism and communication in 2016. She also has a certificate in media management from Frey College in 2019. But the most important and beautiful aspect about her is she's a floor is yours.
Claire, the floor is yours.
Thank you, President, and thanks, Edward, for that introduction, though I didn't hear the last part, but the most important bit of my profile is I'm a mother to a very beautiful girl, for those that didn't hear that, just like me. So today I'll be speaking public relations and branding. I prepared a very brief PowerPoint that I'm going to share. So yeah, so I'll be talking about PR. I hope everyone can hear me, and branding. I added a small aspect on marketing because PR, branding, and marketing go hand in hand. I'll speak about them generally and introduce a few bits about how this can be incorporated in our work as Rotary and Rotaract. Bill Gates, we all know Bill Gates, I believe, once said, if I was down to my last dollar, I would spend it on public relations. This is how important public relations is, because public relations will get you to that point where you want to get, but how does it get you there? First, by you understanding what it entails, what it is, and how it can help you. Okay, my computer is playing games. So I'll just do this. Yes, so before we go into the whole discussion, it's important to understand what exactly public relations is. I'll go into, look at this definition by the Public Relations Society of America, which defines public relations as a strategic communication process. It is important for us to note that public relations is not something that just happens. It's a process. And this process must be strategic, and means there's planning, a lot of research that goes on in having a good public relations strategy. And this process has an aim. Its aim is to build mutually beneficial relationships between organizations and their publics. So what relationship do we want to have with our public or audience as Rotary? This process has to go on from the start to the end. You have to plan, do your research. How do we get to them? What do they do? All those kinds of things. So yeah, and at the core of public relations is influencing, engaging, and building a relationship with key stakeholders in order to shape and frame public perception. So you are not only trying to build this relationship, you are trying to have your public or your audience have a certain perception of you, and it is you that has to do the shaping of that perception. You do not, with public relations, you are not going to allow the public create their own perception of you. You have to do it, and in order for them to get to that point where they understand you better. So it is a planned process. It's a planned process. So I'll emphasize that planning is key when it comes to public relations, and this planned process is aimed at influencing public opinion. Yeah. Yeah, and then the other thing that I need to mention is PR is earned and not paid. So you are not going to pay to have a good public relations image out there. You have to earn it. That is why, like I said, you have to plan strategically. So how do you earn public relations? Public relations is a race, and one scholar, John Mason, developed this 4-step model, and he calls it a race, meaning research, action, communication, and evaluation. And under research, what do you do? So you have an issue. So under research, you are going to find out what the problem is, what is involved, and then you look at how you're going to maximize the most positive outcomes. So your research strategy has to dig deeper into your organization. Say, this is our club, Rotaract Club of Bunga. Who are we? What do we do? What communities do we reach? Those kinds of things. So after understanding what exactly you need and what you need to achieve, then you go into the action. What are we going to do about this? Are we trying to reach more people? Are we trying to recruit more members? Are we trying to have our work heard by many more people? Are we trying to promote our activities? So what are we going to do to achieve these things? Then you go into the planning of what is going to be done and finding the best solution. So the planning, we're going to look at things like what are we going to do? Are we going to have a public relations committee? Are we going to have people, or if we do not have professionals or experts, are we looking at recruiting more members to the club from different professions? I once attended a fellowship where they were particularly interested in recruiting members that were in particular fields because they felt they lacked on those professions in their club. And this is how you're going to better your PR and image out there. So if you do not have professionals that can help with PR in your club, you have to go out there and look for people, encourage them to join the club so that you have a strong and solid PR team. So in the taking action, what is going to be done about the problem, the issue that you are having, also look at how then after that, you go to communicating. Of course, you have found an action plan and solutions. You go into communication. How are you now going to communicate? How is our story going to be told? What channels are we going to use? Where are we reaching our audiences? How are we reaching them? Are we using radio? Are we using word of mouth? Are we using TV, social media, all those things? Then once all this is done, of course, you have to evaluate yourself and say, did these things work? Did our solutions work? Did our actions work? Did they have an impact? What are people out there saying? What is the public view? Is it positive or negative? If it's positive, clap for yourselves. If it's negative, what can be done to improve? So it's like a cycle. You keep on. Once you have finished, you evaluate and then go back to the drawing board and see what to improve, what to maintain, and what to kick out. Then, of course, we ask ourselves, why is PR important in Rotaract? One, apart from getting our work out there, it also builds our credibility and changing the perception that people out there have about Rotaract. So we are trying to make sure that apart from our work being heard, we want to change the image that people have about, for instance, Rotaractors. There are different things out there. So all these things, good public relations strategy helps us, get there. Then I talked about a PR committee earlier. What is the role of a PR committee? One is to tell the Rotaract story to the public, promote the club's projects and activities. And why do we do this? The main important things that I think why a Rotaract club would do this or a Rotary club would do this is so that current members are motivated to keep in the club and then to have prospective members eager to join the club. Sorry, I get this a lot because I'm a survivor of COVID, so I keep running short of breath. It's like a side effect thing. So yeah, if I keep clearing my throat, pardon me. Then we'll talk about ways to tell your story. We have different ways we can tell our stories. Two ways, traditional. You can either go traditional or you can go through the new media. Traditional is like print media, newspapers and all that, magazines. In print, you can release press releases, you can write opinions, or depending on your activities, you can do television, radio, and stuff like that. Like to emphasize the issue of press releases. I think this would take a whole other class on how to write a press release. but it is important to write a press release that will not be dumped in the bin. This means writing the important information. If you're writing a press release about, say, your club activity, you went to a certain community and did something, you have to make sure the important aspects of that activity are mentioned and why this activity should be known to the world. So it is always important to explain the why it should be known and why the media should care about it anyway. Same applies to radio and television. The principles are normally the same. Then what we all have access to, and I think everyone now does, and it's free from the organic, is new media, blogs, social media, video, and you actually reach many more people with this than you'd reach with some of the traditional media. Part of my presentation also was to cover branding. Branding is also an aspect of communication. Ideally, we like to have these things, branding, marketing, PR, like under the umbrella, and the umbrella is communication. So branding is like an attraction strategy in the communication umbrella. So this looks at how we look, how we feel, what our personality is, and this personality is the one that is going to attract customers, members to our club, what colors we use, how our logos are designed, the tone of voice we're using, all those things. So branding basically looks at who you are as an organization inside club. So it's the introspective aspect of communication. So how do we do this? How are we branding ourselves? This goes on from the flyers we send out. If we are sending out communication, how are our flyers designed? Are they using our colors? How attractive are they? The photos used, the kinds of words used, the tone, all those things. So such aspects. Branding basically attracts people to you. So it has to be done in a way that you're consistent, you excite people to want to use your product. Like when you look at cars, the very, very nice cars, even the brokest person wants a very nice car, no matter whether they can afford it or not. So branding attracts you to your audience, to your target. Also look at marketing briefly. Marketing helps us reach, I would call it the reach strategy of communication. So how do we find our customers, or how do we find more people? Marketing is like the paid part of communication, but when you find these people, it entails paying for stuff. So you will brand your stuff, you have good PR and all that, but to reach more people, you have to pay even online. For those that use social media, most of us do. For those that use social media, you realize that you will have to pay or boost or promote for you to attract more people, to reach more people. So in marketing, you have to identify your audience is and how you can spend money wisely to get those people. So I've talked about target audience a lot in this presentation. So I would like to go a little more into how you can define your target audience. And if you're doing this for a business, you're doing it for a club, you have to define. So most of us, especially those that do business, if we are starting up, can I first pause a bit and we ask questions because I need to breathe. Then I'll come back to the presentation.
Okay, it's okay. Thank you, Claire. Members, if you have any question to our guest speaker for the presentation that is so far done, you can put it forward. The floor is yours. You can just unmute or you raise your hand and you pose your question.
Through you, moderator. Hello?
Yes, Benedict.
Yes, good evening. Thanks to Madam Muhindo. We pray that, of course, we thank God that she survived and we pray that she continues to recover completely. And of course, thanks for the presentation. My name is Benedict Buhanguzi. I'm not a Rotarian, I'm not a Rotaract. Maybe I look forward to be attending quite a number of sessions of Rotarians. I look forward to. So to the presenter, my question was taking you back to PR. PR has quite a number of things that we look at in there. I was more interested in managing a crisis. If you have like a crisis in an organization, take for instance, maybe some scandal has happened and maybe it has been exaggerated by social media or even the traditional media. How would PR come in there to neutralize that crisis, especially in regarding to protect the image of the company or of any brand? I was more interested in how elaborating more because some companies have really had scandals, and in the process they misfire or they go astray, and they end up fueling the crisis further than managing it. So how would PR really come in to manage such crisis? Thank you. Over to you.
Thank you, Benedict. Do we have any other question?
Okay, if there are no other questions, I think I'm better now. Let me first finish, then I'll answer Benedict's question. Yeah, so I talked about audiences a lot. So it's important to understand who your audience is if you are doing a PR strategy. Most of us, especially for businesses, most of us tend to want to reach everyone as a customer. And it's not a good idea because one, it's expensive. You can't reach everyone. And if you want to reach everyone, then you become a generalist, not known for anything in particular. And we want to be known for something in particular. So you have to figure out who you want to serve and profile them. It is important to profile your audience. And how do you profile them? This is how. Find out who they are, where they live, how old they are, what do they like, how do they spend their free time, how much do they earn, etc. All these questions help you understand who your target audience is. And in turn, this will help you understand how to reach them, where to find them, and things like that. And it also makes your audience feel valuable to you. So if you understand them that well, they also feel valuable and they become attached to your brand. It also helps you create the right messaging for them. Here's an example of how you can profile your target audience. For instance, on this side, we have a lady, 28, know their occupation. Are they a professional? So what profession are they doing? Where do they live in urban centers? How much do they earn? Why do you want to know how much they earn? This is because you want to determine the price. There's an aspect I didn't mention in marketing. So there's something called the 4 P's of marketing: price, product, price, place, promotion. So this helps you determine things like price for your product. Then what do they use? The internet, radio, television. That's what they use for media. What do they like? Travel, movies, nights out with friends, dislikes, news on TV. So after you've understood these things, you'll be able to know that my target audience loves to be on the internet. So I'm going to promote my products using the internet. They earn this much. So that means when I'm pricing my things, they should be in this price range. I shouldn't overprice or I shouldn't underprice. If they dislike news on TV, that means you're not going to advertise your stuff during prime time. On this end, we have a 45-year-old. So this helps you balance and know if these are my target audiences, how do I then strike a balance? Then importantly, to sum this whole presentation, branding, public relations, and marketing all feed into each other. A good brand is going to attract people to you. A good marketing strategy will help you know where your audience is and how you can pay to get these people. And once you've paid and attracted the numbers, how do you keep these people stuck to your brand? This is where public relation comes in. It's like the glue that sticks all these things together. So if you have your clients, your audience, they've come, you have to keep them there. And keeping them around is through good public relations. Yeah, I think that's basically it. Thank you all for your attention. I'll welcome questions. Before I welcome questions, let's go into another set of questions. I'll answer the question on managing crisis. After that, I need to rest a bit.
Thank you, Claire, for the wonderful session. Members, do you have any questions to our guest speaker?
Thank you very much for the wonderful presentation as well. My name is Ochen Jackson.
Me personally, I look out for another session on how to write press releases. I think we'll keep in touch after working on the basics you've given to us. I see someone called Jay. Your hand is up. You can unmute and pose your question.
Yes, hello. Thank you very much to today's presenter. I joined in a bit late, so probably I could have missed this. I just needed to know where to draw a clear line between marketing and advertising. Are they the same? Are they correlated? Are they separate in any way? Thank you.
Thank you, Jay. Jackson Ochen can unmute and pose your question.
Yes, thank you for the wonderful presentation. I am just wondering if the presentation can be shared. Is that possible?
It's possible. Just send through your email in the chat room.
Okay, let me send my email.
Okay. Do we have any more questions, members?
Yes, President, I have a question.
Yes.
My question goes in the PR. How actually here is more important in the clubs, especially like the Rotaract club, in the position of bringing up membership into the club.
Charles, we didn't get you well. Claire, I hope you got the question. I'm not sure if you got it.
I didn't hear him very well. Maybe you can type it in the chat.
Charles, you can type your question in the chat. You are not clear. I think because of time, we are going to have just those questions for now. The rest, you can send them through the chat and we'll see how to communicate better. So Claire, you have those questions, one on managing crisis and the other how marketing and advertising are related.
All right. Thank you all for the questions. I'll start with the first question, which was on managing a crisis. One, I would like to state that crisis communication is a very big aspect of communication in an organization. Being very important an aspect in an organization, it is something that you have to plan for. So one, you have to stay on top of your game. Crises don't just happen. Most of the time we have already seen them, we've anticipated them, we already see them coming. So as you are doing your communication strategy, you have to anticipate, plan, and know that if we've done this, then this is likely to happen. An example is, for instance, right now we are in a pandemic. I think the busiest communication department in the country right now should be the Ministry of Health Communication Department. They are sending out messages for us to go and get vaccinated. And then we have anti-vaxxers, we have all these things. So in all that, you have to plan and know that, okay, we've rolled out this campaign, there are likely going to be people that will come and tell us we had side effects. The other day, what's that guy of TCIC? He claimed that he had stopped having erections after his second jab. So how do you then handle such? Because such a statement can easily derail people and actually encourage people, some people, to stop getting the vaccine. So you're going to have to come out and respond to things like this, for instance, and explain, use, back up your arguments with research findings so as not to sound ledger like the people who are making these claims. So research, planning, and all those things help you handle a crisis better. Crisis communication is a whole thing that would actually need its whole day or year, I don't know, to understand, but it's a huge aspect of communication that cannot be neglected. The other thing is, I think someone asked about the difference between marketing and advertising. The difference between marketing and advertising is simple. Marketing is the process. It's the process of how you are planning to get your your information out there. This process involves design, creation, research, data mining, and stuff like that, of how you can align an idea of a product with the target audience. So it's a whole process that you have to undergo. And then advertising. Advertising in this case is getting your product to be seen. So you pay for advertising space in newspaper and place your products out there, or you put a billboard out there, things like that. Literally making a service known to the public after paying for it. The key important aspect is advertising is paid for, you pay to be seen. Yeah, I think those were the questions. The third question I did not hear clearly. So I don't know if you wrote it in the chat.
Thank you, Claire. In the chat, I saw only one question. I think they're about to. One was asking, is the human resource manager more or less the same as PR officer? Then the other question is, we talked about marketing, but we need to know more some of the strategies that you're supposed to use in order to make the PR job so attractive. I think some of these were answered in the presentation earlier. We'll just share the presentation and maybe get another session in due time to explain further.
Okay, I think let me answer one of the questions. PR and human resource are not the same thing. Human resource person, I don't know much about human resource, but I think what I know is that human resource, you are looking at the employees in an organization, their well-being, contracts, stuff like that, and everything to do with how people are employed, how they're recruited, how they're comfortable in the organization, etc., etc. On the other hand, you're looking at the organization's relationship with the public. While PR has an aspect of internal communications, that wouldn't make it similar to human resource, but it's more about the relations you have with your public or your audience. This other question about the strategies that you're supposed to do in order to make the PR job attractive. I don't know how attractive you want it to be, but like I mentioned in the presentation earlier, PR is a strategic process, and I explained in the presentation that it's like a race. I wouldn't want to repeat things, but we'll share the presentation for you to indulge and perhaps read more. I'll include some reading materials for those that would love to read. Yeah, thank you, Gladys.
Thank you, Claire. Members, I would like to borrow just like 10 minutes of your time, or less than 10. Erin will give us a vote of thanks. We'll give our guest speaker a vote of thanks. Then I also want to mention before you disappear, sorry about the cold. We'll have your certificate emailed to you. Thank you for your time. Erin will give us a vote of thanks, then followed by Sergeant.
Okay, good evening. On behalf of the Rotaract Club of Bunga, would love to say a thank you, a big thank you to Mrs. Claire Muhindo for the presentation that has been wonderfully displayed about public relations, branding and marketing. And we hope to actually keep the rest and also practice more of the balance between the branding, the marketing and public relations. Thank you once again.
Thank you, Erina. Thank you. At this moment, I'd like to call upon the Sergeant to give us information, and then we'll have the final test. But before the Sergeant comes up, members, just a reminder, after fellowship is done, we'll have our Chimeza for those who will still be around. Sergeant, I'm not sure if he's on. Simon. If Simon is not on the call, I'd like to hijack Eddie to be our sergeant tonight. Eddie?
Yes, President, I had, my network was not good. I didn't hear the last statement.
I was hijacking you to be Sergeant of the Day.
Okay.
Yes.
What would you like me to communicate?
To communicate the clubs that have been with us today for today's fellowship.
President, I wasn't really noting this down since I was doing other duties, so.
Okay. I think I noted down a few of them. We had the Rotaract clubs, we had the Rotary clubs, we had Rotary Club of Bunga, being headed by the CPM Samuel Majwega. The Rotaract clubs that are recorded. In case you didn't register, please register in the chat room. But we'd like to recognize Rotaract Club of Mukono, Rotaract Club of Kabalagala, Rotaract Club of King Caesar, Rotaract Club of Kampala Wandegea, Rotaract Club of Kampala South, Rotaract Club of Kasese, Rotaract Club of Wakiso Information. We had Cape Munyonyo, and we also had Machindie. Yeah, I think that's what I recorded. In case I've missed out your club, kindly register in the chat room so that we get all the information. And we had guest speakers, Katugume, I hope it's the right pronunciation. We also had Benedict, and we look forward to Benedict joining our Rotaract Club. We meet every Thursday at 7. In the normal times, we meet at PVC Heights Restaurant at St. Carlo Liranga Gardens. We'll have the final toast from Alan.
Thank you so much. The final toast for the wonderful fellowship we have had. Let's toast to Rotary International.
Rotary world over.
Rotary world over.
Thank you, members, for today's session. You can now switch on your videos so that we see how you're doing. Mesa is officially open. Feel free to pass on any more information. Chimeza is officially opened.
Gladys,
Yes. Hey, Andrew.
I read in your face.
Hey, my face is here.
Hey,
By the way, Jen's wedding is due this Saturday.
but
And
Gladys,
yes,
I asked the question. I asked the question.
Yes, Andrew.
But you guys didn't answer my question. I don't know why.
We're trying to beat up time, but you're going to continue discussion on the Facebook chat. Sorry, WhatsApp chat.
Actually, let me talk about our Facebook page. Do you know how many likes we have there?
How many?
Do you know how many likes we have
Andrew, I've
there?
never seen you like the page.
You can check.
Now you're going to, after this session, you're going to help us promote the page.
Of course.
You're going to invite all your friends to come like the page.
I'll do that.
Because you've picked enough notes. About your check videos.
So, hello, Vicky.
Vicky. Vicky,
Hi,
where you are?
Andrew, how are you?
I'm okay. I was so very. That is a chipole kuwira.
Twamaze okugula essuuti ya Chatter Night. And what do you say?
Wiki. Hello. Hello.
Vicky, why are you pausing?
Pausing and running away. Gladys.